get started. Over to you, Wesley. Great.
Here we go.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Hello, everyone.
Good
Warm
evening.
welcome.
Hello.
It's good to see you and to have you here. We are just going to take a minute or two to settle in together, make a little bit of a connection. We've got the chat room open, and we'd love to hear in the chat where you're coming in from. We always love that, Emmy, don't we? Just to see
It's
all the
wonderful to see
locations.
people from all over the world. And I think that my children are here, but I'm not sure about it. Could they identify
Ah,
themselves if they're here? Is that you, Ben? Is that you, Danny?
we're we're keeping our eye open for you, looking for you. And thank you for all the locations that are coming in the chat. Yes, I am Ben. With thank you, Ben. That's great.
Hi.
Lovely to have you here. Are you seeing all the locations, Emmy? We've got Mexico, we've got Cardiff, Switzerland,
Shanghai,
Northern
Hawaii,
Oh,
Paris.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Adrian, that's nice to see you. Hi.
Wonderful.
Wellen. Oh, say that. That's hard for me. Aberystwyth, Ceredigion. Where's that? Wales, is it?
I think it could be, yes.
East Sussex?
We've got Romania as well. Lebanon. Oh,
Lebanon.
wonderful. Sunny
South
Brighton, yes.
Winchester.
And Gwen, daughter-in-law, is in the room. Thank you for the
Oh,
smiley
Gwen.
face.
Hi.
Great. Fantastic.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. On Komoka, First Nation traditional territories, warm welcome. Yeah. Nidderdale, North Yorkshire, Scotland. Oh,
Barry Island. Where's Barry Island?
Wales.
Bogota in Colombia also.
Bogota. Hi,
Fantastic.
Carolina. Yeah. Cornwall, Canterbury. Amazing. What a
So
wide
nice, Amy, isn't
range.
it?
What a
Yeah,
wide range of locations. Fantastic. It's so nice to bring everybody together like that, John, isn't it?
it's really nice, Amy.
And
Really
people
nice.
still
Yeah.
joining and still coming in.
Mm. If you're just landing with us, we've just been taking a minute or two just to make a little bit of connection in the
Connemara,
chat.
Ruggadon Farm in Devon. Amazing.
Lovely. Oh, thank you. So please
Bracknell,
feel free to join us in the chat, sharing.
Newcastle.
Yeah,
Neil and Ben. Hi, Neil and Ben. Good to see you.
yeah. Another colleague in Shanghai.
Shanghai,
Welcome.
Washington, D.C.
Lovely. I'm just thinking about the time, Emmy, and I wonder whether I do a little bit of housekeeping just to get us going. What do you think? Shall we do a bit of that? So,
Yeah.
yeah, great. Okay, lovely. Well, thank you. It's wow. I want to say good evening. If you're kind of in the UK time zone, but good morning, good afternoon, a very good early morning, depending where you are in the world. Very pleased to be welcoming you here to a very, very special book launch. My name is John Wilson, and I'm here from Online Events, and we're very honored at Online Events to be working with Penguin Publishing to be hosting an online launch of Beginning to Live, The Art of Existential Freedom with Professor Emmy van Deurzen. So, Emmy, it's really exciting to have you here for the book launch and to be part of bringing the book into the world. So, thank you for being here and, yeah, giving us the honor of hosting you for the next 90 minutes.
Well,
I'm
and
going to,
thank you and the team for all your wonderful support and all the lovely images you've created for it. That was absolutely wonderful, especially Sandra, who did that creating. Thank you, Sandra.
Yes, those images are amazing. So Sandra's here as well. Sandra and I are both directors at online events, and we're just very, very honored to be hosting the book launch as well. So yeah, fantastic. We have a great turnout from the online events team as well. We have Wesley on tech, managing everything that's technical in Zoom here. So if anybody has any tech issues at all, please just let us know in the chat, and the team will be right there to look after you as well. We've also got Jeff, who is managing the live stream to your YouTube channel, Emmy, which is very exciting. A very vibrant channel with almost 100,000 subscribers over there.
Yeah, we should say welcome to anyone who is watching us via YouTube. It's very nice to think of you all sitting there with us absolutely having no idea who you are or where you are. We do though have this wonderful group of people here with us. I see we're 119 people now, which is quite the biggest book launch I have ever had in my life. So that is very special indeed.
Yes. Yeah, it's thank you everybody for coming, whether you're here in Zoom, whether you're on YouTube,
I see the
whether you watch.
hearts. Very nice.
That's very nice, isn't it? Yes, thank you. Well, and colleagues who'll be watching us in the future as well, Amy, either on YouTube, viewers on YouTube will be watching
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
future as well. As part of the housekeeping, we also want to say something about the recording. So just to let everybody know that we're not recording the whole group that's here on Zoom with us. So just in case anybody's a little bit anxious about that, we'll be recording whoever's on the spotlight. So right now it's you and I, Emmy, and we're also showing up on YouTube. If anybody is disappointed not to be recorded with us, please watch out for later in the launch where we'll have some time for Q&A. So if you do open up your microphone, ask you a question, Emmy, you'll be included on the recording. That will show up in the online events library. It will show up on YouTube, and that might be the thrill of your Thursday to be included with Emmy as part of the book launch, and we'd love to have you as well. If you're not so keen on being included and being out on the socials, we've also got the chat room open, and we'd love to have your questions and feedback and comments in there too. So there's lots of ways to interact with us. We'll also keep our eye on the YouTube comments as well. So if you're on YouTube with us live, you want to ask a question, please do so there. And if you do that later, I guess, Emmy, you're in the YouTube comments as well. So yeah, we'd
Definitely. Yeah,
love to
absolutely.
hear you like that too. In terms of what we've got in store for you over these 90 minutes, we've got a little bit more introductions to do as well. And then, Amy, you're going to do some reading for us from the new book. So we're really looking forward to that. You'll also offer us a presentation as well on the themes of the
Short
book.
presentation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we always love when you deliver as well, Amy. So we're looking forward to that. Then we've got some special guests with us who have particularly come along with a question in mind for you, Emmy, who fans of your work over many years, who are really pleased to support the launch of the book. So we're looking forward to those questions too.
They're really
And
just my colleagues, though.
yes, colleagues and sure fans as well, me too. So, but yes, all who are very pleased to come and support the launch, and colleagues and friends and supporters. So it's going to be a great hour and a half together. But before we get into that, I think that's enough housekeeping from me. So thank you everybody for bearing with that. I'm going to welcome Digby Tantum to the screen, and also Claire Arnold Baker, because this launch is also with NSPCEA. So a warm welcome to you both, and over to you as part of our introductions. Yeah, thank you.
So, Claire, we haven't really sorted out what we do or the running order, but I'm very happy for you to start.
Okay, thank you, Digby. So I just wanted to say welcome to everyone for Emmy's book launch. We're very excited to be kind of part of this book launch. We have 4 boxes of Emmy's book in the office, and I have a sneaky copy of it here already. And they're all going to be ready for Emmy to sign on the 18th of May. So, and they will be available to buy at NSPC. But yes, it's wonderful that Emmy has been. I think it's just, yeah, I think it's just a really synchronous moment that Emmy's book is coming out on NSPC's 30th anniversary, which she founded along with Digby 30 years ago, and has been, you know, an amazing organization delivering existential therapy.
We should hasten to add, you were part of that little venture 30 years ago as well, Claire.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, so we were, the band of 3 starting NSPC, and it feels very much like this is a kind of significant moment for Emmy to move from academic publishing, where she's very well known within the psychotherapy and counselling field, into the trade field as well. And it's an amazing feat, I think. And and it's great to be able to celebrate with her and everyone today, and you, Emmy. And I think from NSPC and the Existential Academy, we're very proud of your work. And look forward to the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Digby. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I might just say a couple of words, John, if I may.
Yes, please.
So, I've never really heard of a book becoming the top of the bestseller list before it's even published, but by some magic, the publishing world, that seems to have happened. So Emmy's book is already #1 in various lists around applied psychology and psychotherapy. And so we're very privileged, really, to have the opportunity of sharing in this bestseller even before it's been published. So congratulations on that. Thank you to Claire for mentioning, perhaps, underestimating a bit Emmy's contribution to institutions in the psychotherapy world. So as alongside her academic work, and a lot of published work with other people too, including a recent book with Claire herself, Emmy's founded a bunch of organizations, some like NSPC for teaching, which have become very successful. Others like the Existential Academy, more directed towards public education, which is very much a part of Emmy's belief in. And included in that is the Existential Movement, which is Emmy's latest project to spread the word about existential approaches to a much wider group, not necessarily focusing quite so much on therapy. So I'm sure everybody at NSPC and involved with EA and the existential movement, some of whom are here tonight, including the latest Socrates Medal recipient, Evgenia, we all congratulate Emmy on this amazing achievement. And well done, Em.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers,
Thank you,
Digby.
Digby.
Oh, yes. Yes, here's to you, Em.
Here's to the book. It's about the book.
Well, I don't think the book drinks yet.
Wonderful. Wonderful way to be beginning our time together. A couple of more things before we begin with your readings, Emmy, if that's all right. And just, thank you for those lovely introductions, Claire and Digby. Really appreciate that. we've just put the link to the book in the chat as well. So colleagues who are with us can click through and select the publisher of choice and get your pre-order in. So, and then help keep you at the top of those lists, Emmy. And also, hello to colleagues and friends, rather, on YouTube in the chat with some as locations, well, if it's all right to just share some of those, Emmy.
Yes.
So welcoming people in from Oregon in the USA, from Ukraine, which is wonderful, and from Austin in Texas. So really a warm welcome to everybody who's with us across all the channels that we're on. So
Fabulous.
yeah.
Can I just quickly answer this question from Carolina there? The book will be released in the United States on the 1st of December, and it will be a different version of the book with a different cover, and because it will be published by HarperCollins. And just today I was sent the cover for the USA edition, and that will be a separate launch, I think, for that in December.
How exciting. Yes. Yeah. Well, there's so much exciting things going on, Emmy, and so important in terms of this book being a crossover of wisdom coming, like you're just been so motivated to bring the wisdom from all of your experience in the therapeutic circles into the world, and we need it right now more than ever. So yeah. Yeah, this is
So
such
that's
important.
exactly it, John. That's what the existential movement is about, and that's what the book is about. It's about distilling what we know from our decades of practice and passing it on to a wider audience so that they can benefit and they can live their lives with more awareness and more capacity, really, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, we need it so much right now. So yeah, thank you for all of the work to get the book to where it is. And here we are celebrating. And I guess it's time to hear those first few pages from the book, Amy. Is that right?
Yeah, I will just read the first few pages,
Wonderful.
which are about me as a little girl. So
wonderful. Well, wherever we are in the world, we can just lean back, settle in our chairs, look forward to hearing that reading. Thank you, Amy. Over to you.
Learning about freedom. When I was a little girl of 3 or 4, I was given a yellow balloon at a birthday party. It was a solid, old-fashioned rubber balloon, which had been filled with helium, and it was larger than any balloon I had ever seen before. It was magnificent, and it was the first balloon I owned. It floated up high as I held it tightly on its string, and it bounced along with me as I skipped around our home. It delighted me because it seemed like a creature that was alive and had a mind of its own. I adopted it as if it were my pet or my soft toy, and I called it Flops and spoke to it as to a friend. Not having many toys and not being spoiled with many material possessions, I became quickly attached to my balloon and looked after it carefully for many days. It was still going strong. After a week or so, sitting quietly in the top corner of the tiny bedroom I shared with my sister, waiting for me to play with it and seemingly watching over me, I talked to Flops every morning as I got up and every evening as I went to bed. Flops had become my best friend. I had no conception of the limits of its life and gave it my affection without stint. My older sister teased and mocked me about my devotion to what to her was nothing but a bit of party loot. And she probably rightly in some way thought me very foolish. She said that if I really wanted to bring my balloon to life, I should draw 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth on it. She pulled flops down from the ceiling, laughing mischievously, and handed me a ballpoint pen. Inevitably, as soon as I attempted to draw eyes on flops, my beautiful yellow balloon burst with a bang, flew across the room and spattered against the ceiling. I broke into sobs and felt inconsolable. I couldn't believe that flops had gone, exploded and disintegrated. It felt like a grave loss, and I truly grieved for my balloon. I learned about the fragility of life and the dangers of attachments. My grief was mixed with disillusionment and disappointment, and flavored with a growing sense of mistrust in my sister, who was obviously not on my side. Her laughter at my misadventure continued to ring in my ears for many years, but I mainly felt terrible remorse, regret, and guilt for having failed to keep my flops safe and alive. I knew in my bones that I would never have such a beautiful balloon again, and indeed I never did. My parents made light of the experience, refusing to be moved by my tears. They said, not unwisely, that it would teach me to appreciate and take care of what was mine, and to think for myself about the risks and dangers on my path, instead of listening to other people. This lesson has stayed with me throughout my life. It was the beginning of my understanding of the dangers and responsibilities of freedom. I think I'll leave it there, because I want you to want to find out what happens next and not tell you all about it yet.
What a wonderful beginning, Amy. Yes. Well, we'll get the
Yes.
link back in the chat so that we can get our pre-orders in and we can find out what happens next.
Yeah, okay, very good. So I will now do a little presentation. I will share my screen and I will do this. So I hope you can all see that. And that is just a 10-minute presentation to tell you a bit about what is in the book. So the epigram to the book is from Hannah Arendt, and it is, and I better look it up in the book because, oh no, hang on, I can move this about. There we go. Men, though they must die, are not born in order to die, but in order to begin something new. That is from her book, The Freedom to be Free. And it is really, it sums up what the book is about. The realization that life is a new beginning every day, and that it is important to allow yourself to be aware of that. So, in the book, I argue that freedom is not a given. It is not something that you can take for granted or that you have from the start, but it is a practice. It is something you learn. It emerges from understanding your life, and from taking concerted action whilst heading in the sort of right direction in your life. That's why there is a lighthouse on this image, because there is a theme about light in the book throughout, in many different ways. The idea is that life is not something stagnant, but we often bring it to a halt. And we stop ourselves being in movement because the freedom of our movement scares us. But really, to be alive is to allow yourself to be moved and to be in movement. For many people, and this is true for most of our psychotherapy clients at some point or another, life often feels rather random and chaotic. But we can learn to become much more deliberate, to make it much more harmonious. And I like the word deliberate because, of course, that has the word liberation in it. But it is something you have to free yourself for. You have to make yourself open to these possibilities. Claire and I did some little bit of research when we did our book on structural existential analysis, and that was on the topic of freedom. And we found over and over again that people had to figure out how to find their freedom, and that for every person that happened in a very different way. But it is always about reclaiming something. It is about reclaiming your agility, your activity, and really it comes from engaging with your life so that your vitality starts flowing through your veins again. And it is also very much about understanding life and having a sense of direction. So the golden thread through the book is that life is something you do, it is an activity, and that you improve at this activity as you practice and you engage more and more. So many people these days have mental or emotional problems, and I don't think that is because they're ill, but it is because life is incredibly complex right now and can be very, very confusing. So it's also, I think, because we are not getting taught by anybody how to think about living. We teach our children how to survive in the physical world and in the social world. We teach them to be autonomous in their body and look after it. But even that we don't always do all that well. And we teach them to be with others and to hold their own. But there is so much more to life than that. And I believe that we would do well to be aware of this and to teach children more about self-reflection and about how to have integrity and how to learn in life rather than to fear their life, how to overcome obstacles and how to learn not just to avoid them, but to tackle them and sometimes to puzzle things out and to learn from that. I would very much like to think that we could teach our children more philosophy and more critical thinking from an early age. My argument is very strongly that freedom is an emergent property of existence, that it is something you build, and the more complex your understanding of how the world works, the more freedom you will have. But of course, it gets lost as you hide from difficulties and avoid challenges. And it can also, on the other hand, become overwhelming so that you feel disconnected from yourself or from the world. It is, I think, a daily task to remember what we are capable of and to make much more of what we can be and what we can become. And I can say that there is a lot in the book about how I have had to learn those things. There are quite a lot of anecdotes like the one I just read to you from later parts of my life that will show you how I often had difficulties with things, but with persistence and patience with myself, and I think with a lot of support from other people, I have learned to get through these situations in a sort of courageous way. We just had a very interesting situation with the slides, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll go on this one. So the book is divided into 4 sections in the usual way. There is a section on how to find your physical freedom, which is the freedom of your senses, of your body, of being in a natural world. There is a section on becoming free in your feelings, having an ego in relation to other people, but not getting screwed up by that. There is a section on your personal freedom, which is about the freedom of your thinking and your relationship to yourself in your inner world. And then there is a section on spiritual freedom, the freedom of your ideas and of your intuitions. It is all about meaning and finding your way amongst many different meanings that can be confusing or contradictory. So I use these 4-dimensional tensions and conflicts. There are paradoxes and polarities at each level of human existence. I speak about the layers of life and how you can integrate those in your life. And I speak about how many different people get stuck in any of those different situations. So the book is absolutely spiked through with examples from my clinical work, which have been carefully disguised and changed and made so that nobody will feel I have betrayed their confidences, but nevertheless show how people can learn to tackle these kinds of problems. And very often it is about facing darkness, but also often it is about owning your own shadow and seeing how often you cast your own darkness in the world. So it is about learning to play with the whole spectrum of human existence and not being afraid of working out how to find your equilibrium in all these contradictions. It is about transcending the conflicts. And I have, I hope, shown how it's possible to do that in a very concrete way. Of course, there is some discussion of the emotional compass, because we need a compass and a map as we set out on this journey of our life. But it's also about learning to live in time and to realize that time is not linear, but it loops around. A lot of the themes from my other work come back, but in a very different guise, really presented through concrete people's experiences and through the resolution they find in the work. So this is the image that Claire and I have worked on for some years, about time, where you are in the present, when you have a focus on what is in the here and now, but that here and now really keeps looping back into the past and looping forward into the future. And it also resonates with your sense of eternity and the infinite. So it's all about seeing how life is a journey of many different steps and many different phases. And I quote Nietzsche, who said, "Man's task is simple, but it isn't that simple. He should cease letting his existence be a thoughtless accident." And that is all about becoming reflective, becoming thoughtful, and not letting it be random, but finding ways to organize, to put harmony in what you are experiencing. And once you start doing that, you become aware that life is really incredibly filled with magic, and that magic is everywhere. But you got to first learn to see it and open your eyes to it. And that happens as you allow yourself to be on this journey, to realize that every moment is a new opportunity to choose who you want to be and how you want to live. But, that's what we forget. We get absorbed by the daily duties and by our habits, and we forget to listen to ourselves. So there is a lot in the book about how people find better ways of being with themselves, of creating a space that is like a sanctuary, an inner space, where you have unconditional support for your own consciousness, where you can work with the conflicts and the difficulties, but you can also make room for yourself, and you can build your inner integrity and be clear about what you want to be and who you want to be and how you want to be. And you can be clear about where you want to go in your life. And this is all related to learning to foreground what is happening inside, rather than being pushed around by others, by action in the world, by the things that are happening in your life. It's all about practicing to pause and ponder rather than being reactive. To find a place where you can have calm and where you can stand above what feels like destruction in your life or aggression in your life, where you can build safety and community and decency and integrity and collaboration, which is a very important part of it all. The book is essentially an invitation to practice your freedom and to show you that it is a daily commitment if you want to make that happen. And I hope that it will enable people, even without being in psychotherapy, to find a new confidence and joy in living their lives in a very simple way, and to realize that you can really only have positive experiences in life if you are willing to really face and deal with the negatives, and to recover something of what you have lost or may never have found, something that will make you feel that you're waking up to life and that you're really never properly lived before, but that it is possible for you to live. The book is out next week, exactly a week from now. This is the cover to the American paperback that will be out on the 1st of December with HarperCollins. And here are some contact details. And particularly, of course, please note my YouTube channel, The Existential Zone, where I do videos on these kinds of issues several times a week, and where every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. I go live with the members of my inner circle of that channel. So anyone can join the channel, and you can join the inner circle of the channel by paying $4.99 per month. And for that, you get to have extra videos, and you get to have the live session on the Sunday afternoon. So I hope some of you may want to do that. This is another reminder of the book signing on the 18th of May at the Existential Academy. And we would like to sell all of those 40 books, Claire, wouldn't we? And there you are. I just want to thank you for being part of this launch event. And I look forward to having some questions and to talk about these ideas together. Of course, it would have been a great deal easier to do that had we all read the book, but it will remain a secret until next week, except for those who have a copy. And there it is.
Oh, it's wonderful to see it there, Emmy. It looks fantastic. It's really fantastic.
They've done a very good job. And there is somebody here of Penguin Press. Juliet, I think you are here. Would you like to say hello? We think you've done a wonderful job, all of you. And Juliet is the person who arranged for my Guardian interview that was in the Guardian last weekend. And that has been a very effective piece of journalism, because my inbox is absolutely overflowing. And I can't begin to tell you, people are actually stopping me in the street in the village, which is very, very odd, because I had no idea they had any idea who I was. But there we are.
That's incredible, Amy. Just incredible. It was great to see that spread in The Guardian as well. So fantastic. Juliet, we'll notice you're here, and if at some point you do want to unmute, we've sent you that kind of offering. We'd love to hear from you, and let's see how we go through the time as well. Oh, thank you for that presentation and the reading, Amy. It's a wonderful beginning to our online launch. We've also got the chat open on YouTube. You're getting lots of love and appreciation from your friends and supporters over there, which is just wonderful as well. Congratulations coming in.
We've got a lovely little community there now building up on YouTube. There's some very faithful people coming every Sunday. It's quite extraordinary. Very supportive group.
That sounds fantastic. Really does. Well, the next part of our event is to hear from some colleagues who've prepared a question for you, Emmy. Colleagues who've known you very well over the years, have been thinking about your work, been thinking about the themes in the book. So we're going to invite colleagues one at a time to come and ask you a question and to hear your responses. Are you feeling ready for that next part, Emmy?
Yes, absolutely. I shall be very curious to see who you call forward first.
Well, I was hoping that we could start with Evgenia Georgianda. Evgenia, is it okay to come to you first?
That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, lovely. It's great to see you.
Hi, Emmy. How
are you in Athens?
No, I'm in Crete.
You're in Crete. Oh, lucky you.
Yes, but fortunately, I have a good internet. I think you can hear me well.
Very well. Yeah.
Good. Great.
We can.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me, and thank you for asking me, John, to go first. I'm really touched. You know, we have talked many times about freedom, and you know that since I was 16 or 17, my greatest desire was to be free. and I always strived for freedom. Yeah, now that I'm in my 67, I do wonder how free are we really in terms of our throwness and so many things that happen in our life that are not of our choosing. But of course, you will tell me that our response to what is happening, we have some, of course, we have the responsibility for how we deal with things.
Mm.
But one thing that is very important, and I have been always wondering, and I always believe also that courage, existential courage, is something that is practiced, and you need to train yourself to be courageous. It's not something that is a given.
Yes, absolutely. And we had a wonderful conference round table about existential courage in Athens, didn't
Right.
we?
So maybe you would like to share some of your thoughts about the connection between freedom and courage and how
Yeah,
you
that's a
see that.
fantastic question because, as you will see when you read the book, I come round throughout the book to showing that there can be no freedom without building your existential courage. And those two very much go hand in hand. And especially so because, as you say, a lot of our life is full of obstacles, limitations, givens, necessary things, facticity, all of those, determinism, all of those things that people hold up against freedom. You know, in the philosophical debates, there are many people now who argued there is no freedom because everything is like a computer. It is all set in stone, as it were, and everything leads to a particular outcome. And that was a challenge for me in this book to show the very small ways in which very unfree human beings, people who come to a therapist to get help because they're so desperate about their unfreedom, and how they uncover small ways in which they can begin to be free, very small ways sometimes, and how, when they do that in a small way, it starts to build up. And as they begin to practice new things in their lives in that small way, their courage begins to grow too. And so, you know how Kierkegaard used to say that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, and how I like to argue that this is true, and yet anxiety is not just a dizziness, it is also an energy. Well, as you start using that energy of your anxiety, instead of trying to get rid of it, you create strength in the muscle of your freedom, in the capacity for you to make a difference to things, to do things not in the predicted way, not in the deterministic way, but to strike out with something new, something different. As Hannah Arendt said in that quote, it is about seeing where we can make these new beginnings instead of going round and round in circles in the old way. So it is really the evidence of what I do in therapy with my clients that I use to make that case. Because I don't think it's sufficient to just argue that theoretically. It is important to show how that works out in practice. And I think any of us who are psychotherapists know that psychotherapy is about learning, that people in psychotherapy learn about life, they learn about themselves, they learn about relationships, and they come to learn that there are different responses to the situation. And eventually that makes them a little bit freer than they were before they started.
But
Thank you, Evgenia, for your question and your response, Emmy. Thank you so much. I'm mindful of the time, and I wonder if, Evgenia, we might be able to come back to you.
okay, all
Is that
right.
okay?
Okay,
Thank you
that's
so
fine. That's
much
fine.
for being here and
Thank you.
bringing
Thank you. Yeah.
question.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you. Let's see if we could come to Claire Arnold Baker next for another question. Claire, it's great to have you back on the screen. Good to see you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
John. Thanks, John, and congratulations again, Emmy. So my question is really linked to the book that we both wrote last year, the Structural Existential Analysis, and I could see, obviously, I've had a sneak peek of the book already, and your presentation, that you've structured the book in terms of the 4 dimensions. And so I suppose my question then to you is about how can, everyday people use those 4 dimensions as a way of, accessing their freedom in their everyday life?
Yeah, well, gosh, you know the answer to that just as well as I do, I think. But here we go. I think people are not aware that there are different dimensions, and we just go about our lives kind of doing what needs to be done without allowing ourselves to have that awareness. And I believe that the key to our freedom is to gain greater awareness of that and to play with it. I speak in the book a lot about becoming more playful and becoming more arty about how we live and how we work and how we are with each other. And to realize that, like with art or with dancing, we get better as we practice. And if we don't practice, then we don't get better. And if we don't ever do it at all, then we freeze up and we lose all freedom altogether. I mean, quite literally, if you stop moving and you stop taking risks and you stop, striking out on each new day, your universe gradually reduces and reduces and reduces, and you become incredibly depressed because there is no vitality left in you. So the book is all about how can I increase my vitality? How can I be much more actively engaged physically with my body in a creative, positive, enjoyable way? How can I be in my relationships in a much more open way and a much more dialogical way? Actually talking with others about things instead of fearing other people or trying to dominate other people or trying to run away from other people. And the same with your inner world. I mean, I really do think it builds up like that, that if you start doing the physical stuff and you start doing the relational stuff, then you get to build a relationship with yourself, and then your freedom becomes much, much wider, because really how you are with yourself will change how you are in your body, will change how you are with other people. But of course, for me, at the end of the day, it's all about the spiritual dimension. All of this builds up to you becoming aware of what it is all about, how you create meaning in the world, and how you can begin to understand what human living might be about. And I have taken some steps in that direction in this book, which I'm very pleased with and which I will carry on with in what's coming next. I don't want to say too much about it, but I have kind of formulated a much stronger, clearer sense of an existential spirituality in the 4th final part of the book. But always along the lines of the work we just completed last year, Claire. So it won't be very much of a surprise to you, I'm sure.
I look forward to, I haven't got to that part in the book yet, so I look forward to reading that. But yeah, thank you, Emmy, because I think this is it. It's that kind of introducing these ideas that we might be familiar with in existential therapy, which, you know, will be completely new ideas for people in the general public.
Absolutely. And I think what I had to do for this book is to think much more about what it's like for a person who hasn't got the psychotherapy background and who hasn't got the philosophical background, and to make these ideas clear for that wider public. And that has been a huge challenge, but a really big pleasure, because I think that is where we need to go. That, well, for me, for my life, that is what I want to be doing now, which is also why I'm on YouTube. I find it very satisfying, Claire, that today, as you said, you know, this year is the 30th anniversary, but there's also another synchronicity, which is that your book on the existential crisis of motherhood has just gotten out of publisher's prison, hasn't it?
Yes.
And it is now available at an affordable price. I just wanted to give you a little plug on that.
Thank you, Emmy. Yes, it was. I managed to finally persuade the publisher that over £100, no one's going to buy the book, and so finally they have now reduced it. So I'm very pleased. So thank you, Emmy.
It seems very relevant, since that is also about beginning to live in quite a very concrete way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely all about new beginnings, isn't it? And how we
Yes,
use them.
and I know you like to speak about Hannah Arendt's natality as well.
Yes, yes. And I will be at Denver as well.
Cool, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire, for your question. We'll look for the link to the book as well. Make sure we get that in the chat.
Oh, thanks, John.
That's really exciting too. So thank you, Claire, for your question. And let's come to Alfred Lango next. Alfred, is that all right if we come to you next? Very great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure, Amy, to be present in your book presentation. I say hello from Vienna and send my best greetings and wishes for you and the book.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, and freedom, of course, is very central in existential psychology, philosophy, and in life, and in being ourselves. And when I look at your work and look at you and how you practice, I can see a great humanity. I see you very compassionate and empathetic and close to people and being with them, feeling with them. And this is always impacting me, and I appreciate that very much. And at the same time, you're a philosopher. You write about freedom. And my question is, I wonder how, if you can answer this question, and how you can answer it. I don't know if I could answer it, but therefore I give the question to you. How do you combine such a compassionate humanness with philosophical thoughts and reflections? And this is maybe your secret. Maybe you won't speak about it. Maybe,
no, it's a
maybe you
wonderful
have something
question.
about it.
It's a wonderful question, and it's been sort of part of the story of my life, because I went to study philosophy in France when I was 18, because I felt lost in the world, and I felt that wisdom was my only ground to stand on, and I wanted to figure out all the wisdom of the world and make it my own. But very quickly after I'd finished my philosophy degree, I got involved in working in psychiatry. And then I had to translate these very abstract philosophical ideas into practice. And it was difficult at first because, as you know, philosophers tend to be quite abstruse. And as I learned studying philosophy, there is an art to speaking in a particular way as a philosopher and in arguing every point very carefully to the nth degree so that a normal person gets pretty fed up with it and it's not really relevant to them. But you see, the philosophies that I like are not like that. So my hero was Socrates and his way of having dialogues with people and getting to the bottom of what their assumptions about things were, or really thinking more deeply about what they meant. And I realized that this applied to psychotherapy to the hilt, absolutely. And so that is how it started out for me, working with people, just asking them to clarify what they meant by things and what they understood by certain things they described. And that got us into very deep emotional waters. So then I knew I had to go back to university, do another first degree, another master's degree, become a clinical psychologist, a psychotherapist. But you know, I got back to philosophy in later life. When I lived in the UK, I went back to university and did a doctorate in philosophy because psychology didn't satisfy me at all, nor did psychotherapy, because I thought it was too medically based. It was too much about looking at the human predicament as if it is an illness or as if there is something wrong with a person, when I was absolutely convinced that every person who comes to me is actually just a lost person, like I was lost, who is trying to understand life better. So I think those two belong together all the time.
Mhm. So this is a really lived journey, which brought you to live philosophy by compassion and to philosophize pain and suffering of human beings.
Yeah, the one leads to the other, and the other leads back to the one, and it sort of goes on like that. And that is how it is for me in my work as well. This is interesting, Alfred, because in a few weeks, and I see Kirk there as well, in a few weeks, the three of us, Kirk Schneider and Alfred Langley and myself, will be doing a presentation of the similarities and differences between our forms of existential work. And for those of you who aren't in the field, so Kirk Schneider is kind of like the representative per excellence of the American school, oh, there he is, of existential humanistic psychotherapy, and Alfred Langley is the Austrian and European, continental European representative par excellence of logotherapy and existential analysis. And he worked with Frankl for many years. And so we all do the same sorts of things, but from slightly different angles. And we are going to try and have a conversation about that. And I feel like you sort of started on that a little bit there, because I do think that is where I am most different to the both of you, that I hold on to my philosophical background very strongly in my work.
You do, yeah.
And
I'm
is
looking
this a
forward to
good
that
moment?
meeting. Yeah.
That sounds very exciting. And maybe this is a good moment to come to you, Kirk, for your question. Alfred, thank you so much for your support today and for your question. Thank you. And Kirk, can we come to you next? Yeah.
Absolutely. And Emmy, again, many congratulations on
Thank you,
this
Kirk.
signal achievement, which, as you know, as many of us know, is so difficult in our field to translate the depth principles of our practice to the broader world and how needed this is. So I'm delighted that you are bringing this out and you're communicating to so many more people that we really need to reach. I really feel so strongly that this is our time.
Can I just interrupt you there for a moment to put in another little plug? Because we do have a representative of Penguin Press here today. And as you know, I have put forward a proposal to them to have a series of books like that, including one from you and one from Alfred. So I think it's great for us to note that there is a need for that, and that we would love to go ahead seeing more of this, translating our psychotherapeutic existential knowledge for a wider public.
I appreciate that, and I will be considering it as we go along. But as you know, I think you do know that uh, I'm also coming out with a book called The Vibrant Center, A New Consciousness for Our Broken Age. And so I kind of feel like you are speaking to a very broad lay public and helping them understand these basic principles of existential psychology, of freedom.
Yep.
Your own story was wonderful as a basis for that. And I'm attempting to address some of that, but emphasizing more of the addressing the systems
Yes.
that that constrict us and that disturb us and polarize us. And so, what I was wondering is if you have any sections in your book that specifically address some of these systems that make that kind of freedom and responsibility, or what I'd call the cultivation of abiding presence to ourselves and to others, more of a central component to this challenge of living more existentially.
Well, probably not as systematically as you will have done in your book. And I think in that sense, we're very complementary. But yes, there are threads woven through the whole book where I show how each of the clients I work with is surrounded by pressures and has gotten to the point where they feel stuck or incapable of living anymore because of structural things, because of familial things, because of catastrophes that have happened to them, or because of simple habits that come from their education, but very much more about how they are part of a world in a particular way and how they can turn that around by seeing that we don't have to accept the way the world wants us to be. We can make a new beginning. We can do things differently, sometimes only slightly differently, but that can be enough. Because once you start on the path opens up and something changes. And then you realize that you do have creativity and you do have ability that you hadn't really appreciated before that is in us, in all of us, much more than people realize. I mean, too many people allow themselves to be suppressed and oppressed by the world as it is. And the whole idea of freedom is about liberating ourselves from that. So the whole book is about that.
Well, I think that's great. And I think it also provides a path to challenge our current political and cultural leadership in so many ways that are, really reducing our capacity to experience our freedom.
Too true. But I
Inner and
daren't
outer.
say too much about that because I'm going to have my social media examined when I arrive in the United States in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I shall shut up about that right now.
I wish you the best with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Thank you so much for your question and for being here with us in the launch. Really appreciate it, Kirk. So, can we come to Dr. Dwight Turner next? Dwight, great to have you here with us also. Lovely to see you, and over
good
to
to
you
see
for
you.
your question. Yes, thank
Well,
you.
okay, thank you very much, John. And Emmy, congratulations once more about the book and so on. Yes, I'm sure it will go really, really well. I was sitting here making some notes as you were doing your presentation, and I was just thinking about the notion of hope. And in particular, I was reading, it was I can't speak today, reminded of Jesse Jackson's sort of words, keep hope alive, and how easy it is for hope to disappear when freedom isn't apparent.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you could speak a little bit to hope and how you view it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think they go very much together, Dwight. I think that when people come to me, they're often in that place on the emotional compass that is called despair, where they have lost all hope. But despair comes from a giving up. It comes from a feeling that life isn't possible anymore. It comes from feeling that the carpet has been pulled out from under you. It comes from feeling there's no ground under your feet. There's no room for you in the world. There is nobody who understands you. There's nobody who wants to listen. There's nobody who wants to change things. Despair is a very infectious thing too. I find that in groups people can make each other more despairing sometimes. And with despair also can come anger. Now, I prefer the anger over the despair because with the anger sometimes comes the rebellion that leads the person to clamor for freedom. But I think we can do better than despair and anger and rebellion. I think we can actually, together in dialogue, come to understanding what is going wrong. Like what Kirk was saying there about figuring out, how we are sort of passively accepting things to be done to us all the time instead of claiming our capacity for doing things differently. And whenever you see people who do that,
Yeah.
and you see what they achieve and how they sometimes have an amazing impact on the world, you realize that really every single person has that capacity. Not necessarily in a big way, but in small ways. Everyone has that capacity.
And it becomes like a collective sort of fight against the despair in a way.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, that is very hope-giving. And as I
Yeah.
keep showing in the book, it builds up, as you start doing, because it's something you have to do. Hope is something you have to do. As I say in the book, hope is a commitment to the future. Hope is not sitting there hoping against hope that somebody will rescue you or save you or that things will suddenly be all right magically. Hope comes from seeing what's going wrong and saying to yourself, that's what's going on. Then I can undo that and I can do it this way. And when I start to do it this other way, and I engage with my future in that way, then hope fuels my action.
I love it. That's answered my question. You've been a lot to think about, I think, really. Brilliant.
Good. We can talk about it in the peer group sometime.
We will do that soon.
Yeah.
We will do that definitely.
Dwight and I are in a peer group here in Sussex, and we have regular meetings, and we have some very, very interesting discussions.
They're
And
always a pleasure. Always come away learning a lot. So yeah, never changes.
thank you for being here, Dwight, and congratulations on your own book. Put in a little plug for that too, please.
I will do, yeah. Black Men, Trauma and Therapy. It just came out through PCCS Books the other day. Oops, probably shouldn't have mentioned that part. I'll get sued by Penguin. But it's actually going. It's good that it's just come out, and I'm loving it to bits. Get some good feedback. But thank you, Annie, for answering my question.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dwight.
Dwight. Thank you for being here. We'll get the link to the book in the chat. And the book launch is on YouTube as well, the recording. So we'll pop that in the chat too. It's going to be great for people to catch up with. Thank you, Dwight, for being here, supporting tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's come to Mick Cooper next. Mick, looking forward to your question.
Hi, Mick.
Hi, Emmy. Yeah, it's congratulations. It's a fantastic achievement, and I think just following on from what you were talking about, really, I wanted to ask you about kind of wider political implications and actions, like we thinking about the situation like in around the world and the kind of polycrisis we're in terms of climate catastrophe and war, and what's going on in Iraq at the moment, and sorry, Iran, and Gaza and Israel and the Middle East, and in so many places in the world that there's it feels like we're in crisis. The world's kind of in flames, and I wonder what you see as the kind of concrete. What can we concretely take from your book? What can people concretely take from your book that can help address some of these kind of major global kind of threats that we're facing at the moment?
Yeah, well, obviously, it's not a book about political action, but political action is obviously an option for anybody who practices their freedom. And certainly, as you become more aware of your own choices and possibilities to go beyond the way you're living right now, one of those is, how do I want to be in this world? And how do I want to position myself in relation to difficulties in the world? Now, we can't all do everything, but I think every person tends to become freer if they also do something to free other people. I talk a lot about how several philosophers make that point, particularly Simone de Beauvoir and Merleau-Ponty and Ricoeur make that point. And to be free yourself becomes a very kind of narrow thing if it is only about you hiding away in your own little existence. I mean, it's a good start. But to go back to what Dwight said, in order to find hope in your life again, I think it's important to connect up with other people and to relearn that we are stronger when we are in dialogue in communities, and that communities have been undermined quite a lot over the last century. I don't think people are fully aware of how all that has changed over history, but it is weird that we have lost that connectivity. That's why I believe so much in building communities. The new school, the Existential Academy, they are communities. Our peer group that Mick is also in is also a little community. My YouTube channel is a little bit of community building as well. And out of these communities, people start to think about themselves and their own lives in different ways. And some people feel able to then tackle the political dimension and to do something about the things that upset them, instead of just sitting at home and bemoaning the fact of how the world is going. It is very weird to me that we're all just accepting these wars in the world when we have power in the world through connecting to each other. like this, online from all over the world, we have a lot more power than people did 100 years ago. We can build much stronger communities that are not about states or, separate cities, that are about human beings who believe in the same things. And my experience with the YouTube channel is that there are thousands and thousands of people who feel that way, and thousands of people who really don't understand why there have to be these wars and why things have to be quite so complicated. And I do believe that the time will come when we start tackling that, and that's got to happen. Because why should we be passive about that? Why should we just, allow that to happen?
Thank you. I can really hear your passion for this and the way that your work kind of reaches out to those wider spheres in
Well, I
new
know
and
you feel
complex
that
ways.
too, Mick. I know you feel very strongly about all of this stuff about society and about worldwide problems. And I think it's really wonderful that you weave that into your work and that you speak up for that so strongly. I think that makes a big difference. And I think you shouldn't underestimate how that actually is action, what you're doing. When you bring that up, when you make that an issue, that changes something in people. That opens that possibility in a person's mind. We can do things differently. We don't have to allow people to just throw bombs at each other and shoot each other. It's weird.
Thank you, Emmy.
Thank you, Mick. Thank you for your question. Really appreciate it and your support as well today, Mick. And
Very
yeah,
much
thinking
so.
about that, what are we doing? What are we going to do? What can we do? So yeah. I'm thinking about the time. Here we are with just a little over 5 minutes left. These have been amazing questions and responses, Emmy. We want to come to Digby finally in terms of questions. I'm sure Digby's been cooking a tough question. So Digby,
Yes,
let's see if we can.
I'm worried about it.
Yes, yes. Over to you,
Well,
Digby. Thank you.
thank you very much, John. In my view, questions in this kind of professional setting are often either designed to make yourself look quite as clever as the speaker, or designed somehow to make the speaker feel they've missed out something very important that you already knew. So I don't have a lot of faith in questions, and I realize I hardly ever ask people questions these days because they never understand what I'm asking. So I suppose my question is, who am I to ask my wife questions?
Oh, who are you to ask your wife questions? Well, you're my
Exactly.
husband.
Well, that's it. Husbands shouldn't question their wives, should they?
Um,
They should go along with them. But I mean,
yes,
that we do
somebody
get
just put a very big laughing face on the screen. There you are.
quite a
Yeah,
lot of people.
absolutely.
But you
Digby,
and I
come
have a
on.
lot of, not a lot. There are various positions that you have that I don't
Yeah,
have, and vice
yeah,
versa.
yeah,
And somehow or other, we manage to discuss those when it's
yeah,
necessary. But
yeah.
we
We have
don't
lots of discussions. Yes.
we don't call into question, as people would say, the other person's position. So it seems to me that questions, well, I tell my supervisees, don't ask your clients questions. And they look at me as if I'm mad. And they have a session in which they ask lots of questions. And then I repeat myself. And then they say, well, that seemed to work quite well, actually. And it's not my idea, it's the idea of a supervisor I had. So I don't have a lot of faith in questions. But of course, I do want to share everybody's amazement at what you've achieved, being able to pull together so many years of thinking uh, and practicing. I mean, that's the great thing about that article, isn't it? That you managed to give the author of the article, the interviewer, some sense of how you work with people as well as your ideas. And being able to put those things together, I think is a fantastic achievement. And I know.
Yeah, that was Alfred's question, wasn't it? How to bring together the very theoretical sides of the philosophy with the very practical interventions with actual people. And I think that was the challenge of the book. And as you know, that is something I have long wanted to do. And I have very long wanted to do a book for a wider public. And it has been really, really hard to make that happen. I don't know why there are such divides between the academic publishing world and the wider publications world, because it seems so important to filter this knowledge and this wisdom through to the wider public. Why do we sit, in our ivory towers talking to each other? We must be talking to the wider public.
Well,
and I delight in it. I
think
really
you have
love
a
that.
directness, you see. You have a directness in your practice that is very unusual, and you can call a spade in a way that other people don't find offensive, but is still effective. So that provides you with a very good basis.
Yeah, but there's also something about trusting one's own knowledge, experience, expertise, and wisdom to not just be in a conversation with the other person. It is about being both, being truly in the conversation with the other person and letting it matter to you as an individual, as a person, but also to give them the benefit of the things you can see that they cannot see.
Well, sometimes you're blind, aren't you? But there you go. That's life.
This is where we are a bit different, isn't it? I have more confidence in my own understanding than you have confidence in anybody's understanding. You're more
lovely.
skeptical,
that is true.
cynical than I am that way.
But at least I apply it to myself too.
It's lovely to have you both on the screen together on this very special night. It's really very nice. I wonder as we come into our last couple of minutes whether we bring Claire back on the screen, because I think we just wanted to take a moment just to really focus on the book. And Claire, whether you had any kind of last comments that you might make as we kind of give the book its first push into the world, if that's all right with you, Claire, putting you on the spot, I think. Yes.
Well, I suppose I just wanted to come back to a point that I think Digby was making as well about Emmy's ability to take, and she's always had this in her academic work as well, really complicated, complex philosophical ideas and make them accessible in a way that can be really grasped. And I think the book, from the bits that I've read so far, is doing that as well beautifully. And that kind of really linking together these lovely ideas, existential ideas, showing them in practice, in the case illustrations and the sort of examples. And I think that will really help people to be able to apply that to their own lives. And I think that's the important bit about, the existential movement bringing wisdom to the world. It's about, it's no point having these wonderful philosophical ideas in books that only other, philosophers are going to read, when actually, like Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir were saying, this should be for everybody. Existentialism should be for everybody. It's a practical philosophy. And we need to make it more practical in these ways.
Definitely. We're all very much on the same page. I'll put another little plug in because the three of us are here. And in October, we will have a face-to-face conference to celebrate the 30 years of the New School of Psychotherapy. And that will probably be around the theme that Evgenia brought up, the theme of existential courage, which is something that I think we can explore in quite a lot of detail and depth. And I hope many of you will want to come to that conference, which will take place in central London in a wonderful building right at the heart of London.
10th of October.
Yeah. And I'm sure that John would be quite interested maybe to do an online version of some of the talks as we run the conference.
Well, would that be exciting? We'd love to be involved in that adventure if that was possible. And so there's 2 opportunities to come and be with you in person, Emmy. The book launch in London on May the 18th, is that right? Did I get that? Yeah, May the 18th.
It's a
And
Monday at lunchtime between
Fantastic.
1 and 2.
And then to join the conference in London on the 10th of October. They sound both like wonderful opportunities. As we're wrapping up, I want to do just a couple of thank yous. And then I think we'll open up the microphone so we can all kind of hear our voices to say thank you and kind of congratulations. But I wonder if just before we do that, Emmy, you have kind of any last concluding thoughts as we come to the end of what's been a very vibrant and thought-provoking 90 minutes.
I felt like we're only just getting going, you know, like there is so much to talk about and it's so rich. And there were so many people here today that I would have loved to speak to personally. Ben and Gwen and Danny and Fred, who is one of my secondary school friends from the Netherlands. There are lots of people that are here. John, nice to see you. And Juliet, of course, for the publishers. I just feel that I am shortchanging people by not having seen them properly and not having engaged with them properly. But there it is, an hour and a half is gone. And it's been wonderful and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And thank you so much, John and the team, for doing this. You're so good at this. It's been fabulous. Thank you for making that possible.
Thank you, Emmy. It's such an honor to host you as a team. We're just so pleased. And when we open up the microphones, we can take a few minutes just to say goodbye to each other. So if anybody wants to linger, say goodbye to you, Emmy, if you've got those few minutes.
I'll hang around. Yeah.
That would be lovely. And
very much.
Wonderful. I want to say thank you to Penguin as well for the connection and the collaboration. And it's been lovely to have Juliet here as well. Also to NSPC and all the support and the collaboration. To a very special thank you to all of your colleagues who've come as special guests to ask questions. I think that's been such a rich dialogue. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, colleagues, for being there and asking me these wonderful questions. That was really, really lovely, really deeply appreciated. And look forward to seeing you all in Denver, guys, because you're all coming, aren't you? So we're going to have a great time there for a week nearly.
And if you can't make it to Denver, it will be on online events too, so watch out for that.
That conference will be on online events, so you get to see us all there in conversations. Yeah.
Be fantastic. Thank you also to the YouTube community that's been with us and that's will watch in the future, and everybody who's been here on Zoom. Thank you for being here for the launch. Wonderful.
My inner circle
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Let's open up the microphone so we can hear each other. Thank you, everyone. Take good care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, that's lovely. And now I can see people properly. That's great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. What about the question that weren't answered?